and peripheral nerve is involved, so reflexes are involved. So that's how it is. So these are the conditions causing myeloneuropathy. Both spinal cord and peripheral nerve are involved. So he has got pes cavus also. That's also very characteristic for radix ataxia. So let us. Yeah, CMT type 1, 2. Yeah, then we will have, of course, the reflexes.
Because patient is not telling much complaints, but wasting is there when signs are there.
Yeah.
This chronic long.
Yeah, if you had more peroneal wasting, very typical stock leg appearance or inverted champagne bottle appearance, neat MCQs, then of course it would have been the first in our mind. That's it. Here it's not that characteristic, but yeah, it's possible. That possibility is there.
CMT.
And then again in CMTs you might have a palpable nerves. The common peroneal nerve would be palpable. So you should palpate around the fibula to see whether there is a palpable nerve or not. Gradual since childhood. Gradual since childhood.
Because they usually the symptoms, what patient tells is less, and what region LCT is more in CMT.
Yeah.
That is the rule. Patient directly whatever is telling is one is mental retardation history and the shortness of it. Except for that is not telling anything. No seizures.
So ataxia will be observed. He has ataxia. And we have observed certain features in the neurology. And he's got a cardiac issue also. So we are thinking whether it's something from birth. So Friedreich's ataxia is one of them. So let us look deeply into what the literature tells us about Friedreich's ataxia today. And again get back to him.
So if it would have been from birth, his sister might have told me.
Yeah, but then it's so subtle that nobody notices. Yeah, but the milestone is very important. So here they are more concerned about the heart problem, so they are not telling us everything unless we ask it very in a detailed manner. Yeah, so where will it look aesthetic? Yeah, I think that is the best place there, below that.
Stool తెచ్చిపెట్టరా దాని మీద పెట్టరా అంటే
Yeah, see, so things happen. We were telling Murli, and today one phone call, everything happened. Thanks to Dr. Rajesh. Will it that be a good way, or why not put it below the? So we'll have to go deeper now. So you'll do that after 4 p.m. and you'll tell us later. So what are the cardiac findings? Has everybody heard him? Yeah, Dr. Madhuri has palpated. So first she will tell us what are her findings of the CBS system. Yes. Yeah, tell us what were the findings. You're on camera.
Ventral impulse is felt at the 6th intercostal space, lateral to the mid-clavicular nerve.
So she is saying the cardiac apex is felt at the 6th intercostal space, lateral to the midclavicular lines. So he is not agreeing 6th. What do you mean? So where is it? As per you? 5th. So it could be in the 5th according to him. So that's a very known observer variation. Medicine is full of it. So it's possible. It's possible that it's in the 5th. It's possible that it's in the 6th. Like you don't know where the electron is. Uncertainty principle. So you think that it is here, it is also there. Something like that. Now, what else? What are the other findings? After palpation of the apex, what do? We palpate the base of the heart. Then we palpate for any other sounds, any thrills. So you palpated the apex, you localized the apex, but you didn't find any thrill or sound, extra thrill or any extra sound. Is it? And you put your hands on every part of the cardiovascular system, the apex, the base, and the parasternal area also you found. You put your hands. So what were your findings on the parasternal area? Very, very important in this case. Parasternal area. Anybody? Dr. Ajit? Parasternal area, what were your findings? When you put your hands like this and you looked at the patient, was your hand jumping up like this? Was there no parasternal heave? So there was no parasternal. But this is very important because his diagnosis ultimately is, he did not mention it. He didn't show us the JVP.
On the day of admission?
Yeah. Where is that video of of the JVP. The spectacular JVP on the day of admission. BY collapse. Oh my god. So then you lost it. Now there's no JVP.
Actually, he also had RVS3.
Okay, yeah. So that of course no video can take RVS3.
Even
But
heaving received.
so does he have heaving now?
No, sir.
At that time?
At that time, I felt he had heaving.
Okay. Alright. So those things, heaving, RVS3, palpable P2, these are all features of pulmonary arterial hypertension. So and of course there is JVP. So at one point, like day before yesterday when Dr. Aditya admitted him, all those things were present. There was a raised JVP, there was a palpable P2, there was a heaving, right ventricular heave. So now things have come down with treatment. Right ventricular pressures have come down. That's why we're not able to appreciate it well. So then, what is our conclusion on the cardiovascular finding? What does he have?
Pulmonary arterial hypertension.
Yeah, so all the findings are indicative of pulmonary arterial hypertension. But what is the cause of pulmonary arterial hypertension?
Sir, going by no history of PND and orthopnea and no signs of any left heart failure, sir.
Okay.
No PND orthopnea and echocardiographically his left heart was normal, sir. So type 2 PH can be ruled out.
Okay.
And he did not have any problems of cough with expectoration.
So no lung disease, no left ventricular disease.
Yes, sir.
So it is idiopathic pulmonary arterial hypertension.
Or type 4.
Huh?
Type 4 or
Type 4. What is type 4?
chronic thromboembolic hypertension.
Yeah, that is also idiopathic. Basically, when we don't find the cause, there is one hypothesis that all those idiopathic pulmonary arterial hypertension could be actually a microembolic pulmonary arterial embolism. Microembolism giving rise to high pressures. And the only way to prove it is to take a biopsy on the lung. So that is where we are. Isn't it? So it is a very classical patient which just few days back Sephora had talked about. And we will still not know why he has it. We might take a biopsy and we might see that everything is normal. Then it will be again super idiopathic pulmonary arterial hypertension. And we will have to put him on sildenafil. He doesn't have a testis. So we have to find out why he doesn't have testis. We have to piece together everything in the jigsaw puzzle. Very interesting. You didn't examine his testes, Aditya?
Sir?
You didn't examine his testes. Yeah, that's
Actually,
right.
yesterday we were taking an ABT, sir. I noticed his
Yeah, you noticed something was wrong, but you thought okay.
pubic hair and yes, seemed alright.
Achha, you noticed his pubic hair, but you did not notice the testes. The penile length seems to be normal. Yeah, it's probably normal. But yeah, without the testes, it's doubtful. So we'll have to find out more. So how will you find out more? So this is the question. So we have found out a lot of things, interesting things. Some of them have taken you back. Like now you have to really think as to how to plan his investigation further. Very important here. So he seems to be having an endocrine problem or a testicular problem, developmental problem, because of which he appears to be having hypogonadism, and he appears to be having pulmonary arterial hypertension, and he has a CNS problem also, because of which he has ataxia and pes cavus. So there's something wrong developmentally, and maybe it's a genetic problem. So what could it be? A genetic problem which is expressing itself in endocrine expression, as well as neurological, as well as cardiovascular. So we just have to go through the literature and find out.
Storage disorders and mitochondrial disorders plus.
So we have to consider storage and mitochondrial disorders. So how will we rule them out? What other investigation will we do to look for storage and mitochondrial disorders? Maybe we could have asked them to put it somewhere. This is definitely going to be. Anyway, we'll see that later. So Aditya, what will be the next investigation? You already done the echo, you told us. You did the X-ray, you did the ECG. Is the ECG showing us something?
Yes, sir. First ECG was showing.
Yeah, why don't you show it to us? You don't have it on the desktop? Oh, these things should be ready earlier. Yeah, I think we have some, we had ECGs here, shared. And we thought that there was some biventricular hypertrophy also maybe. But yeah, I think we put it to right ventricular hypertrophy. So that's all. Any other investigation? Now what else will we do given the findings now? Now that you know that he's got a almost absent testes, he has got a CNS problem, he has got a cardiovascular, maybe you have done everything. Now the next thing to do is an angiography and look at the pulmonary pressure and anything else, pulmonary vascular resistance. All those things which Sipora told us. That way. Were you there? Yeah. And even if not, you can review the videos also. So pulmonary arterial hypertension, we are more nearly there except the angiography. The pulmonary angiography, the pulmonary cath studies, which we can get it and we'll send him to Nizam and get it done and call him back. Now what about the CNS? What would you like to do? We had an extensive lecture on this investigation yesterday. So would you like to do that? Yeah, because we did a very primitive version of nerve conduction by trying to hit it with a stimulus and then sending it and coming back. Nothing is happening here. It looks as if these may be eye reflexes. So to confirm that, we can use a slightly sophisticated instrument and see the velocity and amplitude. So nerve conduction velocity can be done. In fact, in the last 1 week in this lockdown, we have managed to send them and get it done. So we'll get that done also. And before now, you think it's overkill. So before that, of course, you'll have to take a good history about the developmental milestone and everything. So what other investigations would you like to do? I think given the CNS problem now, I think nerve conduction velocity should be adequate. We are seriously not thinking of any brain issue. I mean, will an MRI help? Will imaging help here? We have not seen any focal deficits as such. It seems to be symmetric. Maybe a symmetric polyneuropathy is what we are looking at. But whether the spinal cord or the columns are involved, the dorsal columns are involved. So you have to look at the dorsal column findings. Joint position sense, vibration sense, very important. Just your examination will give you a lot of clues. And of course the higher middle function and the IQ and all. So investigation here would be further detailed history, IQ testing, NCV and joint position sense and vibration sense testing. We will do that. So that is the CNS part. CVS, maybe pulmonary cath studies we can get it done. And what other organ? Yeah, testes. What will you do? Ultrasound of the testes, very good. Yeah, just to see if on ultrasound we can capture some small fragment which we are not able to palpate. Scrotal ultrasound, very good. Yes. Yes, so those who have not seen, you can. Yeah, you should have, Aditya, shared everything in the PowerPoint. I mean, not PowerPoint, just on the screen. So, what?
First ECG was the patient left in OP and it missed sensor. So first ECG only Aditya saw.
That's okay. Second ECG has changed. How can it change? I mean,
Even now,
the same ECG is there. I mean, ECG is the same. Why are you worried about the first
but the
ECG?
tachycardia resolved.
Okay.
124 as well.
Okay, so the first ECG in addition had sinus tachycardia, which is resolved, which is a good thing because now we can
And
concentrate on the ECG better.
V1 to V4 there were T-wave inversions.
So when the tachycardia was there, the T-wave inversion was there. Now it is not there. Is it still there? Okay, so he has T-wave.
RV strain, it's suggested. RV strains.
Yeah, that's okay. So not a big deal. Basically, all features of pulmonary arterial hypertension can be explained with the ECG. So what about the gonads? What do you do for that? Endocrine part. So this is a typical medicine patient where you have neurology, cardiovascular system, and endocrinology together. So medicine deals with all the organs. So this is our patient. Nobody can touch it. Okay. So what will you do for the endocrine? Yeah, other than ultrasound, what else? How will you look at his hormones? Huh? Yeah, testosterone levels, LHS levels, how will it help?
The steroid binding globulin.
So hypogonadism, the testosterone will be low and the LH-FSH will be high or low. Yeah, if there is a testicular failure or ovarian failure, LH-FSH will increase. Yeah. And for males, is it the same LHFSH? Same. For testicular failure? Yeah. Yeah, primary failure. Yeah, yeah. If it is primary failure, basically it will increase. Like TSH increase in hypothyroidism. So the LHFSH will increase. And it's the same thing for males also, LHFSH. Although uterine and follicular is not in the male testes, so why do we call it the same? And I mean, what stimulates the testes from above? Is it LHFSH? GnRH, that is hypothalamic. So what is this from pituitary? Huh? Should have been a different name. Although maybe it's the same structure also of the chemical. That's why we kept the same name. So the same chemical in ovary it stimulates the luteinizing thing and the follicular thing. In the testes, I don't know what it stimulates.
Seminiferous tubules. Seminiferous tubules.
Huh? What?
Shuttle cells and Leydig cells.
Hmm. Yeah, but we chose to give it the name of the female organ which it stimulates. Although in males it stimulates a different thing. And of course the chemical is the same probably. Must be the same. Because when we are analyzing it as LHFSH, both the males and females it looks the same. Although its action is different. Okay, so we'll do that. That will tell us whether it's a primary testicular failure or secondary. Just by these three hormones. Testosterone, LH, FSH. Anything more to do here? So what will we conclude? If it's a primary testicular failure, what will we conclude? Yeah, he's had basically organ failures will conclude. His heart has failed, testes has failed, and some parts of his neurons have failed. And that may be because of a genetic problem which is manifested since birth. That is our conclusion, and we will give it a name, give a name to this disease. If it has not been described, reported before in the world, anybody who makes the ELOG, that is his or her disease. So who is making the ELOG for this patient with all the videos of his gait and everything? Who is in your unit 1? You. Huh. So it may be your disease. What is your name?
Aziz.
Aziz syndrome. Maybe. Till now we haven't, we haven't been able to see whether there is a syndrome, reported by someone else, where we have pulmonary arterial hypertension, developmental delay, ataxia, as well as hypogonadism. So till then, whoever is reporting it first, it will be his name. And who knows, you may become a short note sometime in Harrison. So that's some stimulus for you to write it up and share it. So today maybe, with all the findings, you see Hitesh is beautifully done, yeah. So all those things. And of course the informed consent is very important. So we have a 30-year-old man with hypogonadism, ataxia and pulmonary arterial hypertension, and we are not sure why it happened. Some gene, we have to go for the gene also. So we have to contact our genetics department. Only thing is it will take about 15,000 rupees to do the whole genome sequencing. Because we will have to find out whether there is something new genome which we are discovering for the first time. If it's a new disease, we will have a new genome. So it can be done. Let's see. We are hopeful. Yeah, but what is it for him? I mean, it will only make our name and fame. But how will we help the patient? So can we do anything for the patient? To reverse his organ failures, his neurological problems? Yeah, till now nothing. I mean, that's the biggest problem in medicine. We hardly have anything.
But now we can relieve his dyspnea.
Yeah, we are basically giving preload reducing agent and preload reducing agent, not even afterload reducing agent. Because you want to give sildenafil, yes. That is one Nobel Prize winning invention that is in the market now heavily. Probably because it is a bestseller, that's why it got the Nobel Prize. Yeah, why sildenafil? We give it in pulmonary, and nobody has discussed that paper. You should have discussed that paper of sildenafil versus placebo in primary pulmonary hypertension. Then we would have known whether it's really useful.
Bosentan, sir. Bosentan.
No, that's later. Start with sildenafil. I mean, all the studies started there, and then come to bosentan. So bosentan also would have compared with sildenafil. Not maybe
Because
not a
compared to
placebo.
placebo
Also.
is very small sample size, 30 patients.
So we'll review those papers. Okay, now let's move to the thesis presentation. Yeah, I think we are running out of time because we have so many things to discuss. Other than